biggest challenge in music was piracy. Pakistan has never seen major labels, with the exception of maybe one or two. Many years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, maybe they existed then. After that, piracy has been the biggest challenge. Radar is a global program. Multiple countries have their own version of it. Australia में अपना अलग है, America में अलग है, Japan में अलग है, India में अलग है, Hong Kong में अलग है. Imagine putting hours and hours and hours into production of a song. Writing that song, it's a skill that not everybody has. And the people who do have it end up not being able to make a career out of it. When an artist, for example, gets bigger and more popular, their job is कि यार मुझे गाने लिखने हैं, मुझे जाके perform करना है, मुझे अपने fans को जवाब देना है. They'll have managers who will then take over the duties of managing their dashboards. The first Radar Festival globally is being done by Pakistan. For us, it's a proud moment, not just as Pakistanis, but even as Spotify Pakistan. On our side, it's a major contribution to the global program.
So hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the New Essence podcast by Future Fest. So we do this because we try to find the essence behind things, and today we're going to talk about, I think, music, culture, a lot of those things. So I'll start off by introducing our guest today. So Khan FM. What is FM?
Traditionally, radio station होता है.
No, but with your नहीं, आपके नाम में FM का मतलब ही रेडियो स्टेशन है या?
नहीं, मेरा नाम यार in industry, in the professional sense, लोग खान से हमेशा कहते आए हैं मुझे. मैं आपको अपने background के बारे में थोड़ा बताऊंगा, तो that might make sense. But let's just say that people are comfortable calling me Khan, and I'm comfortable being called Khan.
Khan, I understand, but is FM a short form
it's
for
the
something?
Initials, it's my name initials.
That's very interesting.
So I'm just, I guess I got lucky.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So you now look after artist and label partnerships at Spotify for Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and our very own Pakistan. And you've worked at ARY Music, you were at Red Bull, you studied from Berkeley Music College of Music, and then your unique background, kind of, what you've done in Pakistan, and now you're based out of Dubai, and looking after the Radar program, which is a program by Spotify to kind of spotlight the next generation of talent, kind of finding new talent. And I'll let you talk about the 4 amazing artists that you have discovered in the first year of Radar Pakistan. But kind of, would love if you can talk about, number one, how your journey has helped you in becoming this like person who gets the opportunity to find Pakistani music talent and then take it to the next level, which you've already done with these 4 people and probably a lot more.
Lots of great questions. Let me try to rewind a little bit. Yes, music's always been a passion point, personally and professionally. इस मामले में मैं थोड़ा lucky हूँ कि I got to, create a career out of music behind the scenes. Spotify से पहले, जैसा आपने कहा है, I was lucky and fortunate to work with brands like Red Bull, our own ARY as well. ARY तो बहुत पुरानी बात है. I'm surprised you brought it up. ARY में जब मैं था तो उस टाइम पे म्यूज़िक स्ट्रीमिंग का नाम निशान नहीं था पाकिस्तान में. आई थिंक उस वक्त लोग बिल्कुल न्यूली दे वर डिस्कवरिंग डाउनलोडिंग MP3s एंड दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग. पाकिस्तान में उस ज़माने में थोड़ी बहुत वेबसाइट्स होती थी अंडरग्राउंड म्यूज़िक के लिए, तो वहाँ पे लोग अपने अपलोड करते थे और लोग डाउनलोड करके अपने फ़ोन्स पे सुनते थे, व्हाटएवर इट वाज. ARY का दौर बहुत डिफरेंट था, एक्साइटिंग भी था, बिकॉज उस ज़माने में, इफ़ यू रिमेंबर, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट अर्ली 90s में, बहुत सारे टीवी चैनल्स ने म्यूज़िक चैनल शुरू किए थे. ARY का अपना था, इट वाज कॉल्ड द म्यूज़िक. इंडस का अपना था, इट वाज कॉल्ड इंडस म्यूज़िक. MTV पाकिस्तान भी आता वगैरह. तो वेरी डिफरेंट टाइम. उस ज़माने में आर्टिस्ट डिस्कवर होते थे टीवी के थ्रू.
ठीक है.
आज आर्टिस्ट डिस्कवर होते हैं स्ट्रीमिंग के थ्रू, which is what Spotify is all about when it comes to streaming. It's everything audio. उसमें आपके albums, singles, artist discovery, वो सब चीज़ें आती हैं. For myself, I've always lived in Dubai. I was born and raised there. So my exposure professionally was always with a lot of companies there. ARY एक वाहिद कंपनी थी जिनके साथ ARY का भी बल्कि दुबई में सेटअप था, अभी भी है. तो उस ज़माने में आई यूज्ड टू वर्क आउट ऑफ द दुबई ऑफिस विद ARY. पाकिस्तान आना जाना रहता था. And I was lucky enough to work with some artists from Pakistan उस वक्त. I think उस ज़माने में जो नए आर्टिस्ट थे, it was the Mikal Hassan Band, आरो, जल, कॉल, EP, नूरी वगैरह. काफ़ी अच्छी खासी लिस्ट थी, बहुत अच्छे आर्टिस्ट थे, कुछ अभी भी म्यूज़िक बना रहे हैं. फास्ट फॉरवर्ड 15 साल हो गए शायद ARY को. तो फास्ट फॉरवर्ड नाउ कमिंग बैक इनटू पाकिस्तान एंटरटेनमेंट सेक्टर, बहुत सारे डिफरेंसेस हैं, बहुत सारी नई चीज़ें हैं. आर्टिस्ट तो बहुत सारे नए आर्टिस्ट आए, बहुत सारे म्यूज़िक जॉनर्स अब हैं जो पहले नहीं थे. So it's interesting to see that. It's exciting to work with newer artists. It's exciting to be able to showcase Pakistani talent to the world. Spotify का ये एक बहुत बड़ा benefit है. Yeah, because I mean we are a global company, right? We're a global brand. We have listeners all over the world. We have music programs. आपने एक mention किया radar, उससे भी और है. So through those music programs, and it's not just me alone, right? So with myself, there's an entire team dedicated to music, dedicated to discovering artists. So there's a lot of people who are super passionate to work with these artists to showcase their talent to the world. Because unlike before, Pakistan में सबसे बड़ा challenge क्या था for artists? The biggest challenge that you can think of.
Amplification,
No.
right?
No. Close, right?
Visa issues.
No, visa issues. So I think that's generic for
Everywhere.
many people, which I think are easier now. But the biggest challenge in music was piracy.
Okay. ठीक है.
Pakistan has never seen major labels, with the exception of maybe one or two. Many years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, maybe they existed then. After that, piracy has been the biggest challenge. जब आप, when you look at artists in the West, UK में हो, US में हो, जहाँ पे भी हो, जहाँ पे एक proper music industry है, it's very well established and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Multi-billion dollars. Because उसमें सिर्फ royalties का नहीं होता है. There's much more. There's an entire ecosystem. There's hundreds of jobs which are created behind artists. So we're not at that point right now in Pakistan, but we do want to get there. So it's much bigger than just audio streaming. Audio streaming is something we've kicked off now. Spotify को पाकिस्तान में 3 साल होने वाले हैं inshallah in February. And within those 3 years, we've been able to accomplish some small achievements which we're very proud of. In the history of Pakistani music, there's never been any program dedicated to female artists showcasing their music, showcasing their talent. We've done that with a program called Equal. There's another program called Fresh Finds, which is dedicated to artists who nobody's heard of. These are brand new artists. आपने कभी उनका नाम भी नहीं सुनाएगा, तो उस program में you'll discover that. Similarly, there's Spotify Radar. Radar is a global program. Multiple countries have their own version of it. Australia में अपना अलग है, America में अलग है, Japan में अलग है, India में अलग है, Hong Kong में अलग है. So we were proud to showcase Spotify Radar Pakistan. The idea behind this program was कि हर quarter in the year हम लोग एक documentary बनाते हैं. It's a short documentary about a specific artist. So we don't go behind the scenes with the glamour. We want to show people the real challenges, the real achievements of that artist. Things that fans will not get to see behind the scenes, but in a very different light. I mean, अक्सर जब आप अपने favorite artist को देखते हैं show में या TV पे, you see the glitz, the glamour, the lights, the show, the entertainment. But they're like you and me. They're just people. And they have their struggles. And I think it's come to a point where if we don't know their struggles, it's hard for us to understand the method behind the madness.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy. हर किसी को singer बनना होता है, but that journey is not an easy journey. हर किसी के लिए होती भी नहीं है. जब से हमने Radar launch किया है, we launched with Hassan Rahim. After that, we had Taha Ji. उसके बाद we had an artist from Lahore called Manu. Currently, the artists are Hassan and Roshan. So these are all those artists. They're not brand new, but they're not they're not breakthrough artists yet. They're somewhere in the middle. So we try to scout those artists. We try to help them with their releases. We try to showcase their story in a very different way. अगर हमें गाना बनाना है उनके साथ, which is slightly different approach. It's different. Some brands might be doing that, and that's amazing. But we wanted to take it a slightly different step. So other than the documentary, we have the Radar playlist, which is on Spotify. अगर आप उस playlist को देखो, तो you'll be able to discover these artists, their music, their new releases.
Amazing.
And then उस playlist से उनके गाने travel करते हैं global playlist पे. The global playlist has followers from all over the world. So their music is now being discovered by newer fans in newer markets, in newer countries. I can tell you more about how this ties into their success, because that's the end game, right? We want to be able to showcase these artists on a global level, unlike ever before. That's what Radar does.
I think it's a great contribution to our economy also, as a platform, as Futurefest. We try to kind of highlight Pakistani talent. Generally, it's a lot more about tech talent, but also, all kinds of.
But it ties in, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about tech, Spotify largely, it's an app, right? If you look at the history on how it ended up as an app, or why it was created, it's largely because there was a time in the world not so long ago where people stopped buying cassettes and tapes, and music was being downloaded illegally all over the world. Where did that leave the artists? Now, that is a struggle that our artists have been facing for a very long time, right? And I think it came to a point where artists were maybe about to accept that fate, which is not a very good fate if you're an artist. Imagine putting hours and hours and hours into production of a song. Writing that song, it's a skill that not everybody has. And the people who do have it end up not being able to make a career out of it. Again, when you tie it into Spotify, now they can track their royalties, their incomes, because it's all transparent. They go through distributors. They have their deals with distributors. They track the amount of streams. They track it on Spotify for artists. Spotify for artists, since you're into tech, it's largely a dashboard created only for artists. As a listener, I can't access it. You can't access it. It's only for the artist to track कि उनके गाने कहाँ सुने जा रहे हैं,
ठीक है,
कौन से मुल्कों में सुने जा रहे हैं, कौन सी एज ग्रुप्स में सुने जा रहे हैं. Like they can differentiate males, females, 15-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds, पाकिस्तान में कितने, इंडिया में कितने, US में कितने, UK में. Like they can get all the data they want transparently. And with that data, and I'll give you an example, एक artist है, quite a few, but एक recent artist है Pakistani. He utilized that data to create his UK tour.
Acha, wow. Based on those insights. So imagine, for example, Arzish is an artist. Arzish checks his Spotify for artists profile. आपको नजर आ जाता है कि यार UK में मेरे 30,000 listeners हैं. Now you or your manager can reach out to a promoter in the UK, show them these numbers, share that data with them, because it's all transparent, real data. It's all organic. Like Spotify, you cannot buy likes, you can't buy streams. You don't have that formula. It's all transparent.
You might be able to do it on other platforms. We don't have that. So this is all organic. So you tell the promoter knows, okay, this artist has 30,000 fans. Maybe we can organize a show for 3,000 fans. If you do the math, it's very much possible. So that kind of guarantees a promoter, I'll have a full house, sold out show. It guarantees to the artist, I'll have a sold out show, all my fans will be there. So, it kind of really helps organize that path. They can plan for their future, and all about the future, right? So this is where I feel tech meets entertainment meets music really helps, and I think this is something that maybe...
I think, absolutely, and I think having these data-driven insights, which, traditionally when you talk about technology or all these advancements, enterprises have had access to all these tools and platforms where they can make like very, informed decisions, but now kind of bringing that to, let's say, an artist that is just beginning, right?
Yeah.
And that may, like, there's this artist from Karachi whose song has now got like 25 million views on another platform. Tu Hai Kaha or something, right? Right? Or people like this, which has become now partly possible because of the adoption of technology, not just in Pakistan, but around the world, right? So now it's just easier to reach more people than, let's say, 100 years ago, right? But then also...
Or 10 years ago.
Or 10 years ago. Or 10 years ago.
Or in Pakistan's case, even 5 years ago.
Absolutely. And still there's a huge, huge population that is yet to come online. But having this ecosystem of support that Spotify brings for the artists, that I think it's transformational for this community. So I just want to touch more upon, like, you talked about Spotify for artists. We talk about all these different programs. So what is like on offer for a Pakistani artist today that is looking to go out there, produce their songs, and just like start?
I'll tell you. So, yeah, because of my background, largely what I did at ARY and that journey which you were mentioning, music's a passion point, right? There was a time that when I was a younger kid, I used to play the guitar and I wanted to, live the dream and everything. But not having transparency, not having an ecosystem, not having even mentors really made that journey difficult. We're in a position now through Spotify and that landscape which is being made for music, that it's not always going to be about being the rock star. There's an entire army behind every artist, right? There's songwriters, there's musicians, there's music producers, there's associate producers, there's tour managers. These are all, if you think about it, these are all job opportunities. Then you think about media, you think about video producers, you think about video creators, music video directors. There's so much more to it. I think it's important to understand कि जो Spotify करने जा रहा है, it can't be done alone. Number one, that's why I said it's not me. There's a whole team behind at Spotify that works on Pakistan's music industry and everything. So an example would be one of our radar artists, Tahaji. He saw a 13% increase in his streams when he became a radar artist. This was in early this year, first quarter mein. And 2 months ago, I think, Sony Music Pakistan launched.
Yeah.
First major label in a long time to come to Pakistan. Proud moment for us, because that means that, okay, something's happening in the music landscape. And they signed him as an artist. And they also acknowledged, that we saw the Radar documentary and we felt, hey, this is a skilled artist. Let's try to represent him. So that connection holds limitless value. And ये अभी शुरुआत है. आगे और भी labels आएंगे. There are several major labels in the world, from Universal Music to Orchard to so many more. Inshallah, they'll all come to Pakistan, and the idea is for them to discover more talent, more artists to represent, create that ecosystem of music where people can then get those jobs as well, get busy working with artists in entertainment, unlike before, in a very legitimate way. तो वो जो एक मैंने आपको बात की थी ना कि सबसे बड़ा challenge piracy था. We want to eradicate that. It's not helped anybody.
Yeah.
When you think about it. So, and again, you tie it into what Spotify actually is and what these dashboards are, like Spotify for artists. It's largely tech-based. So when an artist, for example, gets bigger and more popular, their job is कि यार मुझे गाने लिखने हैं, मुझे जाके perform करना है, मुझे अपने fans को जवाब देना है, right? They'll have managers who will then take over the duties of managing their dashboards. There's so much connectivity with tech and music now. And मैं सिर्फ अभी Spotify के बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ. Inshallah, when you have a music producer sitting here, which we have some amazing ones, from Abdullah Siddiqui to Talal Qureshi to Mikal Hasan, they can tell you about how tech has evolved in creating music. एक ज़माना था when you had to have live instruments, you had to have soundproof rooms, you had to have major investment in microphones. Times have changed. You get plugins, you get virtual instruments, you get, because of connectivity in tech, you get artists or musicians sitting in different parts of the world who will help you create your music. So tech has largely played a huge role in all of this.
Wow, amazing. No, that's an amazing perspective that we'd love to have on our stage, kind of, figure out how technology is. Absolutely. And how technology is enabling this, because this is also, I think, cultural exports should also be, documented in some way, because now you're highlighting as part of the radar program these artists at Times Squares and I think the FC Barcelona.
हाँ, FC Barcelona था तलाल कुरैशी के लिए. We for the first time we went into seeing how we could contribute to album launches. It's rare to see artists release albums. आजकल के ज़माने में ज़्यादातर फोकस सिंगल्स पे होता है, बट ट्रेडिशनली एक वजह से आर्टिस्ट एल्बम निकालते हैं. उनकी एक पूरी बॉडी ऑफ वर्क होती है. आप शो में जाके एक गाना तो नहीं बजा सकते, right? So if you have a bigger body of work, that means bigger fans, that means bigger shows. So there's a whole strategy behind the creation of an album and things. The FC Barcelona was again for Talal's album launch. He launched his album Turbo. We managed to put him at the LED screens at the stadium. वहाँ पे I think 90,000 लोग थे. I don't know how many Pakistanis were there. It was in Spain. But think about it, कि यार एक पाकिस्तानी artist Spain में promote आ रहा है in front of 90,000 people.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
You will get some fans, right? Same thing for Times Square. Times Square, with equal every month, there's a female artist that gets represented at Times Square. For Radar, we managed to launch Hassan Rahim at Times Square. We had Tahaji at Times Square. We had Manu. For Manu, we recently went through a global rebrand of Radar. So, funnily, our tagline now is Meet the Future. So the representation is that people who get to listen to those artists are literally meeting the future generation of music in Pakistan, right? When we launched, Manu was not just in Times Square. He was in Cardiff, Wales. He was in Penn Plaza, New York. He was in 5 or 6 different places.
Wow, amazing. It's also, for me, it's also like very important, because through these efforts, it is also building a positive perception of the country, right? So Radar is in 100 plus countries. How many countries?
Globally. You mean the program itself?
The program, yeah.
I believe it's in 30 plus countries, but I can double check and get back to you on it.
So जो Radar program है आपका, जिस तरह के it is in 183 countries और उसमें कोई 700 से ज़्यादा आर्टिस्ट को globally, and this is a global program, globally feature किया गया है. ऐसे प्रोग्राम का एक फ़ायदा ये भी होता है कि ना सिर्फ वो आर्टिस्ट हाईलाइट हो रहा है, जिस तरह पाकिस्तान के केस में जो 4 आर्टिस्ट हैं, जब आप उन्हें टाइम स्क्वायर पे डालते हैं या डिफरेंट जगह पे हाईलाइट करते हैं, तो इस मुल्क का भी एक पॉजिटिव इमेज, एक पॉजिटिव परसेप्शन हाईलाइट हो रही है, जो कि हमारे लिए बड़ी एक अच्छी बात है. हमें लगता है कि बड़ा एक स्पॉटिफाई का पॉजिटिव रोल है, ना सिर्फ पाकिस्तान के म्यूज़िक टैलेंट को सपोर्ट करने के लिए, बट ओवरऑल कंट्री की इकॉनमी को, इसके इकोसिस्टम को सपोर्ट करने के लिए. और आई फील के जिस तरह रेडार को पाकिस्तान में अब 1 साल हो गया है, आपके 4 आर्टिस्ट हैं, अब आप रेडार फेस्ट कर रहे हैं, जो कि ग्लोबली पहला रेडार फेस्टिवल है, विच इज़ अमेजिंग, हैपनिंग इन लाहौर, इन लम्स. And this program essentially, what it has achieved in such a short time. So if you can just talk more about that, and also what should we expect moving forward, what's going on, what does it mean for the Pakistani music scene now?
Okay, brilliant questions. मैं कोशिश करूँगा one by one we go over them. आपका जो पहला सवाल था on Radar itself, यार, what we've done, we're scratching the surface. हम लोग बिल्कुल अभी beginning stages पे हैं. हमें 1 साल हुआ है अभी launch किए हुए. And like I said, हर quarter एक artist होता है. As you said कि जब से हमने launch किया, हमें 1 साल होने वाला है. So we're trying to celebrate that 1-year anniversary of Radar Pakistan. But how we're doing it is there's an entire long-term approach to it. Because like I said earlier, हम लोग हर quarter एक artist highlight करते हैं. जिसका मतलब है every 3 months. तो हर 3 महीने there'll be a new Radar artist, और उस 3 महीने के लिए that artist will be getting some exclusive promotion. If they have new songs or new albums, we'd really help them to amplify that music on a global level. Because it's only 4 artists a year, we can perceive that we will be able to showcase Radar Pakistan in a very long-term approach. How that allowed us to work towards Radar Festival. I guess right place, right time, right teams, right artists, all that played, a role. We had the right ingredients. The first Radar Festival globally is being done by Pakistan. For us, it's a proud moment, not just as Pakistanis, but even as Spotify Pakistan. On our side, it's a major contribution to the global program. Hong Kong has their own series of smaller events. India has their own radar showcase. We were the first to do a festival. And the idea is to celebrate those artists on a yearly basis. So inshallah, hopefully this will happen again and again. For the first year, we have collaborated with LUMS. We felt that it was the right place, the right time, right opportunity to be able to do something for the student community. Like I said earlier, it's not just the team at Spotify that helps discover these artists. It's largely all of our people, man. It's Hassan Roshan are actually students from LUMS. There have been other students who've come from LUMS who are artists like Ali Hamza, Natasha Noorani, all of whom we work with. So we know that there's a good, strong musical connection there. So we felt it was the right place, it was the right time. And we're going to be able to do that very soon. And hopefully, inshallah, down the line, we celebrate it on a yearly basis, allowing more and more artists to be part of it. On a larger scale, the amount of people who get involved for Radar Festival, from the guy who's doing the smallest of things like the dressing or the production or the lighting, to the artist management, to the artist coordination, to the teams who are involved in logistics and operations. So, it's creating a lot of those jobs as well for people to do, contributing directly to this program. And on a macro level, contributing to the artist's success. This one thing that I get very proud about is this sentiment from the artist. जब artist देखता है ना कि यार किस तरीके से Spotify कर रहा है, किस तरीके से जो teams involved हैं on ground, local teams, how they're working, they feel good about it as well. You got to remember the artist has had struggles on their own. So when they see all that teamwork, it's really something worth, to feel proud about. And hopefully it's something we'll be able to repeat, man. So that's Radar Fest. It's the first one globally, like I mentioned earlier. So we have already interested our global team members who are not from Pakistan, who are very interested. So hopefully it's going to get bigger and better. Fingers crossed.
So just आपने बताया कि creativity is one part of the equation. The other is where you need a framework, you need all these tools and players and an ecosystem essentially as an artist to ensure that you get your voice in front of the right audience and probably in front of masses, right? क्योंकि जिस तरह आप artist discover कर रहे हैं, पहले कोई artist कुछ produce करता था, वो कहीं पहुंचता नहीं था, अब उसको एक बहुत बड़ा platform मिल रहा है, right? So all credits to Spotify. But then there's also now Sony Music has come up to Pakistan, amazing achievement, and a lot of other players are coming in. So I think there's a whole ecosystem being built to support the music talent, but then also the music industry, the whole ecosystem, the whole country in a way. And I feel that your role in this program and Spotify as a platform, it has helped catapult this economy and this industry and the whole spectrum of Pakistani music on the next level, on the global stage?
Good question. I would say, we don't use the term shortlisting, but for the sake of our conversation, it's a tricky decision-making process. There's so many artists. There's so many good artists, man. It's hard to really pick one. But there are a few key things that we do look out for. How active they are as artists, how actively they've been contributing to the music community, where they are in their career so far. Like I said earlier, Radar is not necessarily about new artists. It could be an artist somewhere in the middle. Unka struggle kya hai? Like, we really try to understand it on a personal level. And radar का मतलब ही यही है कि उनको एक हम global radar पे डालें ताकि लोग उनकी music discover कर सकें. So we want to, be able to help those artists who are kind of on that edge and push them so that their music can be discovered around the world. I wouldn't say there's a criteria, like a fixed criteria, but them being active artists, that matters. could be male, you could be female, you could be, you know, a specific age group, you could be in any country, any city in Pakistan, it doesn't really matter. You could be singing in any of our languages. We've got multitude of languages, from Urdu to Punjabi to Saraiki to Pashto to so many amazing languages. So that's why I said it's tricky, but I also said ke Radar ka ek long-term approach hai. So we are keeping in mind a lot of artists in the future as well. So let's see where that journey goes.
So I think कि जिस तरह टेक इनक्यूबेटर्स होते हैं, एक म्यूज़िक इनक्यूबेटर होना चाहिए कि जहाँ पर आर्टिस्ट आएँ और यू नो प्रोड्यूस कर लें गाना. खासकर अब जो दौर है, मतलब अब बड़ी फास्ट प्रोडक्शन की रिक्वायरमेंट है कि ठीक है टिकटॉक पे गाना चला गया, फेसबुक पे, बाकी प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे, राइट, स्पॉटिफाई पे, बट देन उसको इनकरेज करने के वाई नॉट यू नो लेट्स मेक वाई कांट वी मेक एन इनक्यूबेटर, राइट. हम स्पेस दे देते हैं, लेट्स डू इट टुगेदर, एंड देन now we're doing a road show, and I'm sure there's like a lot of talent around the country that will find we did it like 2 years ago. So I feel that these initiatives and these partnerships are very critical to kind of go out there, find the right talent, and then create a platform to nurture that talent, right? And sometimes that requires like physical investment, right? Physical spaces, because abhi bhi equipment jo hai wo काफ़ी कुछ expensive है. So you know this is something that's definitely I feel a requirement here in this ecosystem.
There is. I mean, if you just look at the way our partner, so we're in partnership with Coke Studio. I'm sure you know Coke Studio. So we partnered with them last year to amplify their songs. I mean, if I recall the numbers of, you know, seasons 12 and 13, they were a couple of million streams. But when you look at season 14 where we partnered, you're talking about hundreds of millions of streams. You know, the difference there is that while they have always championed being the sound of the nation, when we partnered with them, I remember sitting down with the team. They're great people as well, and they've got some crazy creative geniuses working on their team. And we were like, listen, you're already doing something great. How about we come in and we take the sound of the nation and make it the sound of the world, you know? So that was where the idea started off. That's how the partnership happened. And if you look at what they're doing across different cities in Pakistan, going to urban areas, rural areas, reaching out to artists there, the representation of Balochi artists, you know, it's insane. And ye cheez wahan rukegi nahi, because there's so much more, you know. When you ask me about the artists that I've discovered, I'm still discovering. I know that aaj if I go to the whole of Punjab side to discover artists who are more along the lines of folk music, I'll find an unbelievable amount of artists there. But our job as all of us as Pakistanis is to again create that awareness so that those artists can also live off their music. So it's not always taken as a side hobby, because again in our culture हमारा एक है ये system जहाँ पे अगर एक बच्चा या बच्ची अपने पेरेंट्स के पास जाके बोले कि मुझे म्यूजिशियन बनना है, तो दिस probably not the best career choice that get pushed for. But when you look at Manu's Radar documentary, his father actually comes in the documentary and also says, okay, you know, I wasn't sure where my son was heading with music, but now that I see it, it blows my mind. So we're really, there's a cultural shift. It's far bigger than just music, man. It's a cultural shift, and why not? You know, like you said, what if you get this brilliant idea of a music incubator? I'm down. Let's do it, man. Let's make it happen, because you don't know what's going to come out of it. So yeah, the opportunities are endless.
जी, सो मेरा एक थॉट है कि जिस तरह इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी, म्यूज़िक के राइट्स, ये एक बड़ी चीज़ है जो शायद आज तो बड़ी एक कॉन्वर्सेशन का पार्ट है, लेकिन मे बी पिछले सालों में नहीं थी. सो तो जो ओरिजिनल पाकिस्तानी म्यूज़िक है, ओरिजिनल्स मेरा मुराद है कि लाइक पुराने आर्टिस्ट जो हैं पिछले सालों के, क्या उनके म्यूज़िक को इन प्लेटफॉर्म्स में आने के लिए is IP an issue for artists? Is IP an hurdle for all these like artists from the previous years and previous generations?
नहीं यार, it's a very बहुत ज़बरदस्त सवाल है actually, because you're talking about artists who are from yesteryear, right? जब उन लोग उस era के जो artists थे, when they release music, तो उस time पे music streaming दूर तक नहीं थी. रेडियो पे आना बहुत बड़ी बात होती थी. again, record labels the nahi, so there would always be piracy and re-recording of tapes. I don't know, Karachi, Rainbow Center jaake wo bechare recording karate the, or whatever it is, right? Those were their challenges. If you ask me as an issue or a challenge, no. I think it's never too late to learn. So I do work with artists from that era, some of the most famous ones, till the newer artists, because our job is to tell these guys, create that awareness and educate them ke what is music streaming. Spotify जब यहाँ पे launch हुआ था, it wasn't just कि यार switch on करो, Spotify is available. No. Since we launched, we did Spotify for Artist masterclasses. उन masterclasses में हम लोग deep dive करते हैं कि यार what is music streaming? What does it mean to be an artist on Spotify? How can your music come onto Spotify? How do you pitch for your playlists? What are the different tools available? There are various tools which people can even get through Spotify for Artists to create music. Like they have a mobile recording studio. So you can have an app to create music. It's in your pocket. Like these are things which were not there for those artists. तो अब उनके लिए भी awareness होना ना, it's like mind-blowing facts. बल्कि जो हमने पहली मास्टर क्लास की थी कराची में roughly I think 1-1.5 साल पहले, तो बिलाल मकसूद was there, Ali Hamza was there, Asad Ahmed was there from Caravan. So all these guys were there for a reason. They are all musicians. I respect them. I love their craft. We've all grown up unke gaane sun ke. So even they're adapting and learning all these things. I think it's exciting कि opportunities हैं, and never stop learning. You know, that's what every industry should always be about. There's always evolution. Music 10 साल पहले जिस तरह consume होती थी, बहुत ज़मीन आसमान का फ़र्क है. आज किस तरह consume होती है. You know, you can find every album from every artist all over the world on Spotify. You don't have to go to a store. You don't have to search. You don't have to do anything. It's right there in your pocket. So same way for artists, they have to learn and get more aware कि music streaming किस तरह होती है, royalties किस तरह बनती हैं, पूरा ecosystem क्या है, who are the people involved, who are the right stakeholders, who are the right owners, all those things. And I think they're ready for that because they didn't have that before.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights and this amazing conversation and joining us at the Ijad House, and looking forward to the Radar Festival and inshallah hosting you at the Future Fest as well, and working for the future of music and Pakistani talent and supporting this ecosystem in a collaborative way.
Both ways, man. Inshallah. Thank you for having me.